We are in 2025. Welcome to HB RV Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. Lots to cover today. There are some things that have been coming out over the last week that we haven't talked about yet, because I wanted to condense it down to one episode rather than multiple, because it's nothing that needs to be dragged out, but it's something that needs to be mentioned. At least a few things have to be mentioned. And a couple of them are going to affect how the RV industry, how the economy in general moves forward. Good morning, Mike. And the first thing I want to cover is the projections that have been made by several media sources, propaganda bases, and I'm even going to say lobbyist groups from the RV industry. Good morning, Paula. Happy New Year to everybody. That basically are projecting and predicting that RV shipments will be slightly up in 2025. I don't believe this to be true. I believe RV shipments will be down in 2025, but not the significant drop that it has been over the last 2 years. So I think that they will ship probably between 285 and 300,000 RVs this year, which is still a pretty good number. But I believe it'll be significantly down compared to this last year, and that will not go up. And the reason why is because as much as the propaganda machine of the RV industry basically, good morning, Scott, the propaganda machine that is RVbusiness.com, RVIA, RVDA, their job is to get you hyped, get dealerships hyped, and support the RV manufacturers in trying to move the business forward and keep the business going. Fox News tries to keep the Republican Party relevant. CNN tries to keep the Democratic Party relevant. It's all a big propaganda machine, all about money. In reality, there's still a significant amount of inventory on the ground on dealers' lots. Not as significant as it's been over the last 2 years, but it's still a bigger amount than what most dealerships would want to carry going into a recession year. Now, there are a lot of dealerships out there, a lot of them, that have cut their inventory significantly and are in great position for growth. There are a lot of dealerships out there. Mom and pop dealerships are still around. There's not a lot of them, but there's the ones that are around have positioned themselves to have a really good 2025. Couple reasons why. Number one, everyone's going to raise their prices here in 2025. Now, they're not raising the prices from the factory. They're going to raise their profit margin. So reality is, like, mid-February is about the last week that you're going to see the profit margins be so small. Hi, Massage Basson. Good morning, Skylar. The profit margin of most dealerships right now is 0 to 1 to 2%. They need to get back to 9. They need to get back between 8 and 10%. That's including Camping World. That's including Bish's. That's including General RV. All of these guys have to start making a profit to stay in business. You can't keep losing money as a corporation, as a business, and keep your doors open. So the reality is come mid-February, you're going to see a significant price change where dealerships are in a position where they can raise their profit margin back up to normality. So let's say you're in the market for a $35,000 travel trailer. Okay. You're probably going to pay $3,000 more for that travel trailer come March. Fact of life. And there's going to be very little to no negotiating. It's going to become a CarMax type of a business. The back and forth is going to go away pretty soon. It's going to be, you're into a outdoors RV travel trailer that costs a dealership $50,000, you're going to pay $54,500. Well, I want to pay $51,000. Good for you. Go find a used one. That's how it's going to come down to that. Okay? So, with that being said, I think the RV sales portion, I think retail sales in the RV industry will go up this year. Even with a bad economy on the commercial real estate side, even with probably a lot of investment groups dumping their position in the housing market starting towards the middle of this year, a lot of the bad economy is not going to affect average Joe. We already had that happen. So average Joe is more than likely going to be on the recovery come around middle of this year. So I believe there's going to be a spike, not like this, but a spike in new RV sales, new travel trailers specifically. And I believe that momentum will carry over into 2026. So I believe shipments will be down, but retail registrations, as a factory rep would say, is going to go up. So instead of it being significantly down, both sides of it, I believe now that we've got kind of a good balance of inventory at a lot of places. Not everyone. There's still places that you drive down the road and their dealership lot is packed full of stuff. They haven't woken up yet. But if you go to a lot of places right now, there's a lot of dealerships that their lots look empty. And the reason why is because they've gotten smart where they're like, okay, winter is going to be terrible. Fall is going to be terrible. Let's see how January goes. In fact, the folks I'm helping are finally getting some new inventory in because they have a show coming up here at the end of this month. But the reality is that more money is going to be in people's pockets, probably coming the middle of this year. But you're going to hear a lot about recession. You're going to hear a lot about bad economy because now Donald Trump's going to take office. The legacy media is going to go attack him. They were, babying Joe Biden. Now they're going to go attack Donald Trump. That's just the way the world works. I'm not a politician. I don't like politics. I don't like either party. I think both parties don't have the American people in their mind. I think they have their own objective. That's just the way I go. Lazy Days is one of the few places. So let's talk about Lazy Days because that's actually something I was going to talk about. So Lazy Days is going to be eventually bought out. Funtown RV bought a dealership from Lazy Days. Lazy Days did a lot of dumb things. Okay? Lazy Days, instead of seeing the writing on the wall, because here's one of the significant things you guys don't understand, that RV community members don't understand. The larger the corporation, the larger the overhead, the more money they have to make. Okay? Let's use Forest River as an example. Forest River is easy to pick on because I understand the programs front and back. When Camping World goes to Forest River looking for $5,000, $10,000 more off on a motorhome than other dealers are getting, okay, Funtown RV goes to Coachman and says, I need significantly deeper or less pricing than everybody else. Forest River goes, okay, here's $100. Here's $200. Here's $400. So they don't buy a Forest River Salem, as an example, for way significantly less than mom and pop. Now, on the Thor side of things, that's different, okay? But in retrospective, that's why smaller dealers like Forest River, because Forest River, and God rest him soul, Pete Legal, set it up this way, and MRT, who ran Coachman forever, set it up this way, where, yeah, we'll give you a little bit deeper discount. You got to take a lot more inventory, but it isn't going to be significantly less. And they have rebate programs back to the dealership, but they're not significant. It's not like 10%, 20%. It's usually between 1 and 3.5% depending on what you ordered. So it's not a significant thing. So what got Lazy Days in trouble, what has Camping World in trouble, what has a lot of big corporations in trouble is their overhead is so high that they have to make a certain profit margin on every single trailer, every single, what's up, K-Tech? Every single transaction has to be significantly higher profit than a mom and pop store to have a low overhead. So the reality is that Lazy Days was not making the profit margin or the sales. And they didn't have the cash flow to hold on to significant losses. And instead of saying, okay, we need to change the way we do things, and this is the stubbornness of the RV industry as a total. This is the stubbornness of the factories, stubbornness of the dealers, stubbornness of all the OEMs, even the stubbornness of the consumer. Is Lazy Days did not go back to the drawing board and go, oh, this isn't working. Let's hire someone that knows the industry front and back and knows how to get us out of this mess. Never was done. And if it was done, the person took the money, didn't do shit, and walked away. So it's a lesson learned that these big corporations do not give you a better deal than mom and pop, because they can't. They have a bigger nut to crack than mom and pop. I'll give you an example. Great example. Bobbycom RV, which has Oregon, 3 stores in Idaho, 2 stores in Arizona, that dealership can give you a significant better deal than Camping World, Bish's, let's see what else is down there. Blue Compass, which used to be RVR. And the reason why is because Bobby and his partners have a smaller overhead than Camping World does. That's not a bad idea. So reality is prices and profits are going to go up. So if you're not buying, let me rephrase that. If you've purchased already in the last 2 years, give yourself a hand. You bought in a significant area of the industry where profit margins were extremely low or non-existent. Most of you bought right around invoice. Congratulations. For those of you that are going to buy at a show here in January 2025, congratulations. You're going to get a significantly better deal than everybody that's putting their hands in their pockets and think that everything's going to crash. We've been saying that for 4 years. The world of podcasters and economic experts have been saying it's going to crash. We're going to have 08, 09 again. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. No, it's not. It's not going to happen. Now, I am going to tell you that I found a little tiny loophole in how some manufacturers are going to lower pricing without destroying the used market. Okay? Here's what you got. So, I will almost guarantee you, I'm not going to say 100%, I'm going to say I'm 95% sure that every single manufacturer is in development of a brand new trailer brand. So I'll give you an example. Again, I don't have confirmation of this, but I'll give you an example. Keystone, which has Zinger, Springdale, Hideout, etc., will develop a brand that's brand new. They're going to slap a different sticker on it. They're going to take off the solar. They're going to put a small AC, no furnace, no stabilizer jacks, small slide out, and ship it to dealers. I am any place, don't worry. And ship it to dealers and significantly drop the price. They're going to be that travel trailer that's 26 foot, slide out, bunk beds, 2-burner stove, small little microwave, smaller refrigerator, but when you walk in, it's going to be $24,900. That's coming. I think that's the way they get out of not significantly having a drop-off, is developing a new brand. Forest River will do it. Keystone will do it. Heartland will do it. Every manufacturer will do it except for RVR, probably, obviously Brinkley's not going to. Grand Design's not going to. Obviously Outdoors RV and Northwood Manufacturing isn't, because they're very niche products. But your bigger, more, how do I put it? Your bigger, more corporate manufacturers are going to create new brands that they can sell to dealers for a lot cheaper to stimulate the middle class. To stimulate, because I talked about this 2 years ago. I talked about this on the podcast 2 years ago, and I think someone's been listening. I don't know who, but I think someone's been listening. Because on Monday, I'm not going to say who it was, but we'll say it's someone on the manufacturing side, started asking me questions about what I thought about having a brand new brand that could be bought at a show with a slide, bunk beds, storage, queen bed with a curtain, not a separate room, a privacy curtain, no solar, 12-volt fridge, solar prep, and a blah, 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 blah. And a family of 6 can get that coach for under $250 a month. Do you think that would be something that would help stimulate the families coming back into the lifestyle? And, well, I'm going to get into that, John. I said to him, yes, but you got to put the stabilizer jacks on. You don't have to put the tongue jack, the electric tongue jack, but you got to at least put the 4 stabilizers on. Because when you see the 4 stabilizers, it's easier for the salesperson, the dealership, and even the consumer to convince themselves to buy something that basically has the absolute basic equipment. Now, a lot of research went into this, apparently. Apparently, they're finding out, not on the West Coast, because they still don't understand West Coast. They don't understand west of the Mississippi. But east of the Mississippi, which is where 2/3 of our population is, they're starting to find out through surveys, through different forms of communication with consumers, that most families with young children are not out dry camping. They're at a resort, plugged in and hooked up. They're at a campground that has plug-ins, sewer, water. So this brand that we were talking about in hypothetical, which I think is going to become reality, is basically you could put 30-gallon tanks across the board. That would cheapen it up. You could do solar prep on the roof, maybe the solar plug-in on the side, 2 5-gallon propane tanks, etc. Now, people, hi Larry, John, people do buy on price, but we're talking about the family of 4, the family of 5 that's on a budget. Right now, that budget is a Coleman 17B. Most people can only afford $250 a month or less because they still want to use the trailer. Yes, retired couples who have the kids have moved out of the house, they have significantly more flexibility with their income and flexibility with their ability to buy. Let's remember, the average person, the average household in America that buys a travel trailer or was buying a travel trailer only makes 40 grand a year. That's why sales have significantly dropped. It's not just the price of the overall vehicle. 87% of consumers are payment buyers. They buy things on debt because that's how our world started working since the early to mid 70s. So they don't buy because the price of the unit, they act like the price matters. The price doesn't matter to 87% of people. They can tell you the price matters. They can tell you straight to the face that the price matters. But I have proven without a shadow of a doubt to salespeople I train, to dealers I've trained, price is so insignificant. Because here's a fact. If you guys know what Malibu is, if you had someone who is told that there's a $20 million house up for sale on Malibu, on Pacific Coast Highway, with a private beach, mansion, solar everywhere, everything. You say $20 million, everybody goes, oh, that's great. But if you told the person that they could buy the house for $250 a month, they don't care how long the loan is. They're like, $250 a month and I can have that? I'm in. If you told everybody that a Cadillac Escalade was a $120,000 car, everybody goes, oh yeah, that's an expensive car. But if you told them, hey, even though the Cadillac's 120 grand, you can have it for $300 a month, they go, well, let me see the paperwork. I'll sign. That's how things work. We are a monthly payment society. Because if we weren't, then most of these industries would be dead. Okay? It's crazy, but it's very true. Absolutely, it's crazy, but it's very true. Most people, I'll give you an example. I sold a travel trailer the other day, last week, before the new year. Okay? The people were about price. But when I hit them with a payment, after we agreed on a price, they jumped out of their shoes like, well, that's too much money. What do you mean that's too much money? You guys didn't care about the payment. You guys said to me that you're going to pay it off in 6 months. So why does the payment matter? Right? So that's the problem, is people act. So I told them over the phone that a payment of $250 a month or less, you got to be able to sell that coach for $20,000. So don't be surprised if new brands start showing up around March or April that dealers can sell for 20, 21 grand, has a slide, has bunk beds, and re-stimulates that $250 a month buyer. And that's where I think the spike in sales is coming, is because now you're going to have a mix. Instead of having a fully loaded bunkhouse travel trailer for $45,000 that only 4% of the population of the RV community can afford, you're now getting a cheap, stripped down, basic travel trailer that most people would be happy with, because they're happy to hook it up to their truck, tow it to a campground, put out their awning, and just enjoy life. So we are in a significantly, trust me, on the main channel, every time I do a loan video teaching people about RV loans, all I ever get from some of these, no offense, older, crotchety fellas is, just pay cash. That's the best way to do things. Just pay cash. Cash. Okay. Let's see how many people in the United States of America and around the world have $40,000 extra cash just lying around that isn't a loan, that isn't taking money out of a house, that isn't from a 401k. That's real, actual money taken out of the bank account and given to somebody. I guarantee you that that number is a lot less than what you guys think. For a lot of you, if you can pay cash, you are in a much better position than 90% of people. And by the way, even when I had the ability to pay cash for things, I never paid cash for things, ever. In the end, it was beneficial, because in the end, I got an extra 2 years to try to build my dream. And now I have to rebuild, obviously. And I'm in rebuild mode. But I learned that debt is actually a good thing for people that have cash. Mics are funny. Have you seen the prices just for the tires on a combine? Oh, yeah. No, farm equipment and semi-trucks. Have you guys seen the prices of some of these new semi-trucks? Semi-truck drivers don't go write a check for $325,000 for a brand new truck. They go finance it. It's a fact of life. People don't go buy used anything because it's the principle of the thing. They go buy used because they can't afford new. Or they buy used because they don't see themselves using that product often enough to justify new. Those are only two reasons people buy used. If everybody had the money to buy their 16-year-old kid a brand new car, they would rather put him in a brand new car than a Civic that's got 180,000 miles on it and you don't know who's been in it. But we always say, yeah, but you got to start out with a starter car. We're not going to give you the nice car. We're going to give you this pile of crap because that's all I can afford. I mean, if anybody does it for the principle of the thing, that's a little crazy. My daughters, if I could afford in 3 years, 4 years to give my daughters a brand new car, you damn well know I'm going to buy my daughters a brand new car. It's not going to be a luxury BMW, but it might be like a Nissan Sentra type thing or a Toyota Corolla. I'm not going to put them in a 1990 car or 2001 car because the principle of the thing, I want my daughters to be safe. I don't want them breaking down on the freeway in the middle of the day. They break even, but because they take things out in debt. See, that's what people don't understand. The super rich, the people that have money, don't have money. Okay? Everything's taken out in debt. And all they do is pay down. So like, I've explained this before. Dealerships, auto dealerships, RV dealerships, boat dealerships, companies that are successful, that make a lot of money, that make a man wealthy or a woman wealthy, is all in the building of the assets. Okay? Best way actually is using the stock market. So on paper, Elon Musk is considered one of the top 5 richest men in the world. He's as broke as I am when it comes to cash. He doesn't take necessarily a salary from any of the companies he built. He takes stock options. He builds stock. So if the stock starts at $6 and it goes up to $1,000, he goes and borrows money off the stock and reinvests it into another vehicle, another asset. Wealth is built through the generation of income through assets. So farmers don't go out and pay cash for anything. Not for a tire, not for an engine, not for a new piece of equipment, not for a used piece of equipment. They go and take debt out. And they pay the debt over a long period of time. Then when they sell the land, they clear up all their liens and they hold on to a bunch of cash. That's why ranchers that sell their farms never work again, because they've usually got tens of millions of dollars in their bank account because they were frugal, they didn't spend money, and when they did spend money, they spent it on debt. Steve's funny. You're funny, Steve. That's funny. That's really funny. Generally, if you could buy something new, you're going to go buy something new. Most people don't want to go sleep in somebody else's bed, poop on somebody else's toilet. General rule of thumb, you're not going to go buy somebody else's problems unless you absolutely have to. And that goes for cars too. Okay. Now, sometimes you find a good deal. You find a luxury car that's got 9,000 miles, that's garage kept, that you get to buy for $5,000. So rare that happens. Like, that happens 1% of the time. Yeah. Everything's gone up significantly. Parts, labor, everything's gone up. I think eventually things will come down. They'll level off and come down a little bit. I think the main thing people need to realize is grocery prices will come down. Energy prices will come down. Parts, maybe a little bit, but they're not going to go down like... It isn't going to be the same... See, for everyday items, parts, groceries, TVs, things people buy one time that they never really resell because they're usable, wearable parts and wearable items. Even a banana you eat is wearable. It goes through your digestive system and comes out the other end. Okay. Those may have a price crash. Good, Mike. That's fabulous. That's absolutely fabulous. Stellantis, yeah, well, Stellantis is going to hurt themselves doing that. But remember, read, Mike, as you know, read the room. Are they really dropping the MSRP, or are they going to offer more rebates? When a company says we're going to drop our sticker pricing or MSRP, no matter what it is it actually the MSRP, or are they going to offer more significant discounts and rebates? Because the minute, let's say Stellantis, let's say Ram trucks, let's say a Ram 2500 diesel, the MSRP is 80 grand as an example, okay? And they say they're going to drop it 35%. You're going to see a bunch of Ram truck owners that bought in the last 6 years go straight down to the bank and go, we're done. Here's the key. Go auction it off. We're never going to pay it. Good luck getting the money. So Stellantis may offer a bigger rebate program to encourage older truck Ram drivers to trade in their one they're way upside down in, to help alleviate the pressure on the used and new truck market. That's a possibility, but I would be suspicious if they really drop the MSRP. I think they're going to drop their pricing through rebate programs to incentivize people to get out of their trade. I'll give you an example. Here's a good one. Yeah, so here's the basics of what's going to happen. Okay, so we're going to take, well, first of all, for everybody calls dealerships greedy, okay? AutoNation has a bigger overhead than every auto group in the entire nation, entire United States. They have to make more money than little pop that bought a Ford store that's been in the same city for 50 years. Okay, that's just a fact. So is it really greedy, or is it the fact they're selling less cars and they got to make more money per car in order to stay in business? So for this to get stimulated, if Stellantis is going to do that, okay, let's use Ram Trucks again. If Ram Trucks wants to stimulate Ram truck sales, they have to target people that already own a Ram, or Ford, or Chevy, or Tundra. So how do you target those guys? Those guys already know they're $30,000 upside down in most of their trucks. Most of your trucks, most truck owners right now, on average, are around $30,000 upside down in their loan because of price drops. So how do you get them out of the truck and into a new one? You got to have some kind of incentive. So I think the way that happens, so the more cars a dealership sells, the more they're going to negotiate. See, that's the difference. Car dealerships will rather go out of business than they'd rather sell 20 cars at 10, 12 grand profit than to sell 20 cars at 2 grand profit, because at 2 grand profit, they're no longer in business. At 10, 12 grand, they're covering their expenses, their lease, their interest payments, their curtailments, their employee expenses, their insurance. There is a big, large Toyota dealership in California who, in order for them to break even, have to make $4 million. You can't make $4 million selling 50 cars unless you raise your profit margin and get greedy. So how do you get more customers to the lot? Well, interest rates are not getting people to the lot, because interest rates, 0% financing only works on new car buyers or people that don't own a car. So you have to incentivize them to actually want to get their trade in and go take a $20,000 loss. How do you do that? You say, we're going to pitch in however many money. Let's say Ram goes, hey, for if you trade in another truck, we'll give you $10,000 rebate. That will move the needle. That will, because when you're a Ram truck owner and you're $20,000 buried in your truck, and Ram is willing to cover $10,000 of it, 10 grand's easy to swallow rolling into your next truck payment. So that's the reality of the car industry. If they want to incentivize people to, if you want prices to come down at the dealership level, you got to get more people to go to the car lots. To get them to go to the car lots, you got to get people with trade-ins to go trade in their vehicle. Most people can handle 3 grand upside down, 10 grand upside down, 5 grand upside down. But when you're $30,000 upside down and there's no incentive from the manufacturer to help out with this, even if they were the stupid people that bought it in the first place and shouldn't have paid 30 grand over sticker for the truck back during COVID, you got to stimulate people to get to the lot. If you start getting 30 people a day, 40 people a day to go to the car lot, to go shop for a car and buy a car, prices will come down at the dealership level, because now they're selling more cars. To get to the number for them to be profitable, they don't have to make as much money. The more volume they sell, the less money they'll sell cars for. When you have less cars being sold, the more money they have to make on every person. So when you only got 20 customers a month that are buying a car, you're going to maximize the profit because you have to. I said that before, Steve. I've said that a couple times. They're never going to do it. The RV world will never do it. Okay? They should have done it back in 2022, but I've said that a million times on this podcast. People want to do business in California. They'd rather not. California's complicated, but anyway, I gotta get going, guys. I gotta start work. Until next time, remember, toolkit and sense of humor. See you tomorrow.